Madison said my stream keeps freezing. She's sending me text to keep me updated. We are back on the live, Kenny, so I'm ready to press the record button whenever you want me to, sir.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, and we are live.
All right. Welcome in, everyone, to episode 15 of the Peach State Tailgate Sports Podcast. I am Kenny Cochran, joined by my co-host here, Mr. Jake Huell.
Oh, yeah.
We're glad to be back on back-to-back days for y'all, bringing y'all some more sports content. Yesterday, we talked Braves, we talked Dogs, we talked college football week 2, we talked NFL week 1, and today it's time to talk about the upcoming games, the upcoming matchups, our picks, how we did last week betting-wise, what we're looking at this week betting-wise. You may notice, if you're tuning in, this is my first time repping it. I am repping the Carolina Hurricanes jersey tonight, Mr. Sebastian Aho. We are officially under 1 month from regular season NHL hockey, and I'm pumped about it. I'm a big hockey guy. Jake is getting into it. We'll do a little hockey talk as the show progresses. A little background on my Carolina Hurricanes here. Obviously, we're Georgia boys. We lost our Thrashers, and the Canes have been here for me. They're relatively local. We got a couple teams within the vicinity, but I'll stick with my Canes. Finished the year last year tied for the best record in the NHL. If you look at it from a point standing perspective, third in the league in points. The Carolina Hurricanes are by far the best defensive team in hockey, and top 10 in offense as well, led by Mr. Sebastian Aho, who is an absolute unit. So yeah, we're excited about hockey season coming up. We'll do a little hockey talk, a little picks. I'm actually a plus better in hockey. It's probably my best sport, so look for that. Not a sharp by any means, but definitely we'll give a couple takes on that side. But all right, let's get into it, man. Jake, let's kick it off. What you got for him today?
Kenny, great introduction as always, sir. Always got to start off the podcast by saying that. And you are right. I am going to try to hop in this year. Obviously, we're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes. Apparently is my team. As Kenny had told me, that's my team. I don't know, so that's who I'm going to root for. And it's coming up quick. You are completely right on that. We also have another sport coming up quick, Kenny. This is going to be one that I'm going to help you along with. I know that you are a lot more farther advanced in that sport than I am in your sport. We're talking about some Hawks basketball. Obviously, we got a couple exciting things coming up on the horizon for both of us. I'm more of the basketball guy. Kenny's more of the hockey guy. So whenever that stuff comes along, we're definitely going to help each other throughout that process, trying to, keep up with the stats and with the players and all that fun stuff. And, I'm really, really excited to, give another sport a try. I've watched a little bit of hockey in my days, but, it's very limited in what I've seen. So, yeah, that's going to be awesome. I know we have a lot of football talk to get into, but before we get into football talk, I want to go ahead and kick it off with our Braves like we always do. And, not too much stuff has happened. Obviously, we were on last night or, yesterday. I guess it's yesterday in any situation right here, YouTube or podcast side of things. And there's only been 2 games played since we were live. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to do a little timestamp for you guys. It's 9:19 on September 14th, so it's Wednesday. The Braves beat the New York, I about to say the New York Giants. I'm already in football mode. The San Francisco Giants 5-1. Kyle Wright went out and pitched a hell of a game, earned his 16th win of the season. I want to say that he is now 2 above anybody else in baseball in wins, which is awesome. I know it's almost like a meaningless stat, but it shows that a guy can win games anytime he's on the mound, and that is exactly the definition of Kyle Wright. He might go out there and give up a run or two every outing, but he is going to keep you competitive in majority of ball games. The Braves, obviously, they look good in that game. Michael Harris is still hitting the cover off the ball. Dansby hit a big 2-run homer in the 3rd inning to help the Braves secure the lead. And then going into yesterday, or Tuesday, as we're going to call it, or actually, I'm already too far ahead. Wednesday, I forgot it's a day game that we played today. So that day game's already passed. The Braves lost to the Giants 4-1. We had Charlie Morton on the mound. They had Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon looked like an absolute stud. He struck out 8 through 5 innings. He did end up leaving the game with a blister, but their bullpen, kept us in check. I want to say the lone run we scored was a Robbie Grossman single that drove in Von Grissom. And the Giants offense wasn't really rolling too much on Chuck. He gave up 4 runs in, I want to say, 6 innings or 5 innings. And Chuck is kind of still struggling with the same thing he struggled with all year. Hit batsman. Charlie Morton has an issue, and it's not something new for him. He's always kind of been known to hit guys throughout his career. And I don't know if it's because how much spin he puts on a baseball or what it is that caused that issue, but he's continuing it this year. One positive note is that Grossman went 3 for 3 with an RBI, so Grossman's starting to pick it up a little bit. Obviously, when he put that Braves jersey on, he was balling when he first came out, but he got really, really slow as time went on. And now it seems like he's starting to get hot again, which is a beautiful thing. A couple more things before we get off Braves talk. We are currently a game out of first place. The Mets game is still actively going, and they are down 6-2 against the Cubs in the 7th inning. So hopefully, whenever they lose that game, or if they lose that game, they'll go back to a half game, and we will still be feeling very, very good. Obviously, yesterday we had made up some ground after the Mets lost to the Cubs and the Braves beat the Giants. So we need the Cubbies to come through for us today. An injury note, I did notice Ian Anderson got hurt down in Gwinnett. He's injured. I want to say it was a strained oblique. So yesterday, the conversations we were having with talking about our options for the 5th starter, it seems like Anderson will not be one of those options because he is going on the shelf for a little bit with the oblique injury. I have a question for you, Kenny, and that's kind of it to round up my Braves talk as of right now. Like I said, we don't have much to talk about because we just talked about this yesterday. So before I get off of Braves, is there anything that you want to say about the Braves right now?
Obviously it looks a lot better at half a game than a full game or a game and a half like it was. So we're all Cubs fans right now. Coming off a loss today, it seems like day games, man, are just our kryptonite. I don't know why the Braves, I don't know if we're allergic to the sun or what the deal is, but we cannot win day games. We can't pull them out. We have a terrible record in day games, so you hate to see one of those come across. So obviously take the loss there. So yeah, pulling for the Cubs, man. We need them to come through tonight. They got a pretty good lead right now, so hopefully they can hold on to that. We can stick right here at a half game back.
Definitely. We want to stick around a half game. You don't want to go a game and a half because then, you're 2 games away from taking over first place. Right now, we're 1 game away from taking over first place. You would like to keep it at that level. My question for you, Kenny, and this is kind of out of the ordinary for us. Most of the time, whenever we talk about baseball, we kind of keep it in Atlanta. We kind of stick with the Braves. But I was on social media earlier and I saw the question being brought up, and it was an interesting question to me. And it was the conversation of who should be the AL MVP right now between Mr. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. And I have my opinion, and it is a very definite opinion, but I wanted to hear what you thought about that question before I get going on it.
Yeah, I have an opinion on that too, and it's very definite. It's Aaron Judge, excuse me.
Yeah. We're talking about a top 6 or top 7 offensive season ever put together at the major league level among anybody throughout baseball in the modern era of baseball. This is a historic season. Shohei Ohtani is an animal. Don't get me wrong. The guy puts up Pete Alonso numbers at the plate, and he puts up Max Scherzer numbers on the mound. That is awesome in itself, but it's a level of you did it last year, and Aaron Judge is doing something brand new. Like, not brand new for Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has been a great baseball player for years now, but this is historic. I know the conversation is what Shohei is doing right now is historic as well, but it's nothing new for him. Like, you can't just give Shohei Ohtani the MVP every single year because of what he's doing. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not really liable to happen. And what Aaron Judge is doing at the plate right now, there's no question about it in my mind that Aaron Judge is the MVP of Major League Baseball, of the American League. Also, you look at their teams. Angels are now going to finish below 500. I want to say it's been quite a few years in a row they've been below 500. 5 years, I want to say. And it is a guaranteed lock that they will finish below 500 right now. They are out of contention to finish above 500 at this moment.
Something that I don't think people talk about enough with Aaron Judge is this dude's a legitimate Triple Crown candidate. Obviously, everyone talks about the home runs. I think he's sitting at 57 right now, which is absurd. So he's leading the league in home runs, obviously, leading the AL in RBIs, and it's like .009 on the batting average out of first place in that. I think he's 4th in the AL right now. So he goes on a little hot streak. He is seriously, contending for the Triple Crown. And in my opinion, if you're even in talks to be a Triple Crown candidate, you're, for sure a lock to be in the MVP conversation. And then when you see what this guy's doing at the plate, it's just absurd. Like, this guy is by far the best player in baseball this year. And I mean, Shohei, it's like that Pat Mahomes talk, right? About most valuable player in the NFL and how people are saying what Patrick Mahomes brings to that Chiefs team is so valuable. It's almost like you should have Patrick Mahomes and then the MVP. Shohei, it's almost the same thing with Shohei, man. Like, he's going to be in the conversation every single year because he's, and obviously Mike Trout, but what Shohei brings to the team on the bump and at the plate is just ridiculous, and we've never really seen that before, not in our lifetimes at least. So, Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you need a Shohei award and an MVP award.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like we had mentioned, you can't just give it to Shohei every year because there's going to be guys out there that go out and have crazy years like what Judge is doing. And this is an outlier season. Like I mentioned, this is a top 10 offensive season ever put together. I want to say the WRC plus is absolutely insane, and it's like 7th at all time among a hitter. So it is awesome. So Aaron Judge, man, if you are not keeping your eye on this guy, you need to open up, because turning on a Yankees game, I've done it quite a few times this year, just on my little MLB TV. This dude mashes. Like, it is almost like seeing the box scores and seeing the news and stuff does him a discredit. And that's crazy to think, because I get notifications every day. Aaron Judge just hit 50, 56. Now he hit 57. Turn on a Yankees game, check him out. This guy absolutely mashes baseballs.
Everything he hits is a moonshot, dude. Like, he's not just hitting dink and duck home runs. He's hitting 470-foot bombs.
Yeah. That Yankees team, there's something in the water. They have a lot of guys that can hit the ball hard, and Judge is the headliner up there. So it's really fun to watch. I hate the Yankees, but it's still fun to watch guys mash baseballs 120 miles per hour off the bat.
At least they're not the Dodgers.
Yeah, at least they're not the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw. Talk about bets. I do want to mention a bet real quick. Yesterday, Merrill Kelly, 4.5 strikeouts, over under. Pounded the over. This is going to do a little parlay play. Clayton Kershaw, 5.5 strikeouts, pounded the over. Parlayed those two together. Merrill Kelly had like 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. I was pumped. I was like, okay, Kershaw has 5 right now. It's 4 and 2/3 DPS, 5 Ks. Has only given up 1 hit, no runs, a walk. He's gonna get that 6th one. Finished the game with 7 innings pitched and 5 strikeouts. Pitched 3 1/3 innings, 10 batters, 10 outs, and did not record a single strikeout, and made me lose my parlay. Very upsetting night for me. And that was a West Coast game, and I stayed up after the podcast on my phone in bed watching that game to see if he got it. And after I saw like Blake Ferguson come out of the bullpen in the 8th inning and Kershaw was done, my hopes and dreams were shattered. Also, I do want to mention live right now, I did lose a bet again. The Brewers, the Brew Crew, just demolished my dreams. I had them first 5 -0.5, and they are currently losing to the Cardinals 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. And the Cardinals are the teams that hit in the bottom half of the inning. So my chances are done with that.
Actually, running through here too, you're talking about bets. I'm calculating what my record was this past week.
That is a smart thing that I have not done yet, Kenny. That is it for baseball talk. I do kind of have like a little article right here. If you are calculating bets, I will run through this stuff real quick just to kind of keep the talks going.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had seen an article and it caught my eye. It's by Jeff Passan. Big fan of Jeff Passan. I think me and Kenny both are.
The Jet.
And it's talking about tiers of free agents going into this offseason in the MLB. And tier 1, it's actually a very interesting list, and it kind of made me eye-opened about like how many people are going to free agency this year, and it's kind of going to be a really, really crazy offseason. There's going to be a lot of money thrown around. Tier 1, we talk about Aaron Judge, Jacob deGrom, Nolan Arenado, and Trey Turner. I honestly did not know Nolan Arenado was a free agent at the end of the year. That is news to me, and obviously the Braves have our third baseman. We're not going to be in the market for Arenado, but whatever team he goes to is getting a top 3 third baseman in baseball. Obviously Trey Turner is an absolute stud. We watched him play a lot with Washington, and now he's with the Dodgers, which makes it seem a little bit worse. With Washington, he absolutely torched the Braves. It seemed like every time we played this guy was just hitting the ball, going 4 for 5 on the Braves, stealing bases, hitting bombs, doing his thing. And with the Dodgers, it's no different. Jacob deGrom and Aaron Judge, they kind of speak for themselves. Every baseball fan knows exactly what they bring to the table. Both of them are guys that are the best at their spots, I would say, in baseball right now. Then we go to tier 2. We got Correa, Verlander, Bogarts, Swanson, Rodon, Edwin Diaz. This is going to be a name that I'm not going to pronounce very good. Kude Senga. He's a right-handed starting pitcher, I want to say, from Japan. So he's a new guy to me. And Chris Bassett. Obviously, I mentioned the pretty crowded shortstop room right there. We're talking about Correa, Bogarts, and Swanson, along with Turner that was listed in the tier 1. So the shortstops are going to get a lot of money this offseason. There's going to be a lot of guys going around. Obviously, one of these guys is a Braves guy, and we would like to have Dansby back, but the one good thing is Dansby decides to walk. We have a good guy in our system replacement with Von Grissom. If we're not comfortable with that, there's 3 other great options out there to go for. So if Dansby does want to walk, I'm sure Dansby's going to be our number one target among the guys I just listed. But if he does want to walk, there are plenty of options out there to go make a move for.
Yeah, that's the beauty, isn't it? I mean, you've got the flexibility. So obviously, we're going to make a push at Dansby because he's our guy. But if he decides to go elsewhere, like you've got other options.
Yeah, and if you want to go throw money at a guy like Bogarts or Correa or Turner, I don't think there's going to be a Braves fan out there that's overly upset. Like, I love Dansby. You love Dansby. But when you're looking at it the baseball to baseball player wise, I do think Dansby is probably, and this might be a bold opinion, I think Dansby is a little bit higher up than Correa on my list as of right now. Bogarts is a little bit different. I love what I see from Bogarts when I watch him. He's kind of up and down a little bit, which concerns me. He's also going to be 30 on opening day next year, which is, again, is kind of concerning at a shortstop position because you want, you like the youth at shortstop, somebody that got to be a little bit rangy, go out there and make plays. And Bogarts has never really been the greatest defender in baseball at short. So, it's going to be really interesting offseason. Rodon's another guy to keep your eye on. He's going to go out there and get a bag because he's one of the better starting pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, Rodon's an absolute stud.
I am curious to see what Verlander's going to do, though. I am curious to see if he sticks around, which he should, because he's probably going to win the American League Cy Young this year, or if he just hangs up the jersey. Like, I mean, the ball's in his court. He can do whatever he wants to. He has plenty of money. His wife or his girlfriend's Kate Upton. Like, they're loaded already. I mean, he is a lucky man.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's Edwin Diaz. I almost forgot to mention him. He's going to be the first $100 million reliever. That is going to happen this offseason. No reliever has ever been paid $100 million in a contract. He is going to get it. He is going to get an absolute bag this offseason. And I want to see him out. I want to see him leave New York. Please. Please just leave New York. Go to the American League so we don't have to see you, because I feel like for years I felt like Jacob deGrom was the most annoying pitcher for the Braves to face, just a guy you could not touch, and he still is. He still is that guy. But then I watched the Braves try to hit Edwin Diaz. I'm like, okay, this is not fun. This is uncompetitive.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But that's my little bit of baseball spiel. I see you're done getting your calculations. It looks like it. You're looking up at the screen, you're looking up at the camera, looking all bright and ready to roll. So I'll let you kick us off into your next thing, Kenny. What do you have next for us on the slate?
Let's get into it. Let's talk some dogs. All right, Dog Nation, it is here. SEC opener. We are traveling to South Carolina to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Week 3, we got a 12 o'clock game on Saturday. Obviously, I just mentioned it. It's the SEC opener. Real ball is here. It's time to go. I know South Carolina, they might not be the upper echelon, but nonetheless, it's an SEC game. Pretty interesting matchup here. South Carolina is a team that's been pretty notorious for giving us fits in the past. Obviously, the team is a little bit different than we have been when you talk about those kind of rough matchups. So I just mentioned it's a 12 o'clock kickoff. Georgia is favored 24.5. The over-under, I believe, is set at 55.5 at the moment. That just recently went up from the original over-under at 52.5. Georgia, 91.2% chance to win this game. Couple interesting points for me on this. South Carolina, they lose 2 crucial players in this past week at Arkansas. Starting linebacker Mo Kaba and their number 1 pass rusher Jordan Strachan. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Both went out with torn ACLs in this game. That's super unfortunate, super unlucky. Obviously, hope those guys make a full recovery. But you lose 2 stud defenders like that. That's a tough thing to roll into a UGA matchup. So they're going to have to figure out how to patch that up against our offensive line, man, because this Georgia offensive line is the truth. Obviously, Spencer Rattler had 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions against a pretty weak Arkansas defensive back group. That's something we talked about beginning of the season, how Arkansas was up there and linebacker and defensive line. The whole front 7 as a whole was a really, really good unit for them, and they struggle in the defensive backfield. So see a guy like Spencer Rattler struggle against them makes you wonder how he's going to do against an upper echelon defensive backfield in UGA. Teams analysts have talked about Georgia being a number 1, number 2 defensive backfield in college football. For me, I think they're a clear number 1. And then on the Georgia side of things, we didn't learn too much from last week's win. Obviously, Sanford is Sanford. They're an FCS team, and they're a pretty good team. I'll give them a little bit of credit where it's due. Haven't really faced too many challenges yet. We don't really know what Oregon is. We'll find out this week in a matchup against BYU, which I'm sure we'll dive into in a little bit. But the defense is the only defense in college football to not surrender a touchdown so far. And against an Arkansas defense that's missing two key defensive players. I'm expecting this offense to thrive. We haven't really seen a hiccup for this offense for the most part, so I expect them to carry that momentum into South Carolina.
Yeah, I think you broke that down amazing. The offense is definitely not going to be the problem in this game. The offense is going to drop a lot of points on South Carolina. The defensive front is going to feast against South Carolina. They cannot pass block to save their life. Michael Williams and Mr. Jalen Carter are going to have games of their lives this coming up weekend. The safety group is the best in college football. Malachi Starks, I don't know what Christmas medicals are like. I'm hoping that we might see him back this weekend. I haven't really done no research on that, so I can't tell you 100% sure. But even after that, Tyke Smith, Dan Jackson, those guys are studs. The guys that are going to get tested most in this game to me, and I'm very excited to see it because I feel like we haven't seen it much so far this year, is Keely Ringo and Kamari Lassiter. And we know what Keely Ringo is. We know Keely Ringo is a stud. I am really, really excited to see Kamari Lassiter and see what he can do against South Carolina. One thing I will give Spencer Rattler, and he's the best quarterback we've faced so far this season. I will say that. He is a better quarterback than Bo Nix. And he likes to take more chances than Bo Nix. Bo Nix took a couple chances, it bit him, and he quit taking chances. He took one chance down the left side of the field on a deep ball, and it got picked off by Malachi Starks. And I think that was the only ball that had over 10 yards of airtime from Bo Nix the whole game. Spencer Rattler's not like that. If he throws a pick, he's going to come back out there and try to sling it on you the next drive. That is his game. That is what he likes to do. He likes to play risky. And, if Lassiter is not on his, P's and Q's, then he might get torched. I think Lassiter is an absolute stud, and I think he's going to show out. And I'm really, really excited to see him play. He's a guy I've been really excited or really high on going into the year. And, it's just a position that really hasn't been tested much so far. So that's going to be something I'm going to look out for. South Carolina cannot run the ball. That's another issue they have. They do not run the ball well at all. So the majority of what they're going to try to do on offense is going to be through the air. So I expect our defensive backs to have games and our defensive line to absolutely feast against this South Carolina football team.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I had a couple things I wanted to point out here. Just a couple little fast, quick stats, I guess you could call them. Georgia, obviously, I just mentioned it, the only college football team to not allow a touchdown so far this season. South Carolina is 1-9 in its last 10 games against ranked opponents. Georgia also leads the nation with 1.5 points allowed per game, which is absurd. South Carolina also 1-5 when playing the number one team in the AP poll. Last win was against Alabama in 2010. Georgia 22-1 under Kirby Smart when it scores a non-offensive touchdown. A couple more interesting points here that I wanted to mention. Stetson Bennett is officially 6th in UGA history with 42 touchdown passes.
Let's go.
And Georgia is an astounding 64-8 under Kirby Smart when scoring 20+ points.
Good God. Okay.
These are all just kind of crazy points here. And I'll say this too: Georgia scored on 93% of the red zone drives this season, scoring touchdowns on 67% of those. Obviously, last week we talked about the struggles of the red zone and how we're struggling to get the ball in there, kicked a lot of field goals, and I'm looking for a game this week where we can kind of correct that against a weaker defense in South Carolina, where I think Georgia will be able to move the ball through the air and on the ground. And to give South Carolina a little bit of credit where it's due, they're decent in pass defense, but a team like Georgia, we're very deep at receiver, very deep in the tight end room, and we throw the ball to our backs out of the backfield. We talk about Kenny Mack every episode. I don't think Georgia's going to have too much trouble with the South Carolina team.
No, I don't think so either. One notable thing, too, to mention before we get off Georgia, I do not believe A.D. Mitchell's going to play in this game. Kirby did have a quote saying that, they run into some issues that he should be able to go. But I feel like that's kind of like just college football in a nutshell. They're not really going to give you too much information. They're going to try to make things seem as bright and joyful as possible. I don't think we're going to see A.D. Mitchell play in this game. We have a long season ahead of us, and we have bigger threats down the line than South Carolina. So I don't think that if this game is close, that they're going to be like, okay, A.D. Mitchell is the spark plug we need, and we're going to throw in a guy that just had a high ankle sprain last week to come in and play this game. So I'm expecting A.D. Mitchell to take this one off. That's obviously a good size hit to this Georgia offense because he's the number one wide receiver. But like Kenny just mentioned, we're deep at the spot, so we have guys that can come in and fill that position.
Yeah, 100%. This wide receiver room it's crazy, man. We got guys all over the field that can make plays. So I look for guys like Rosemary Jack Saint. I think he'll have a big game in this one. Obviously, Ladd, who is all over the field every single game. And then I'm really looking for this to kind of be the coming out party for our tight end room. Brock Bowers showed up a little bit last week, kind of flashed that last year talent that we saw. Best tight end in college football, I think, on anyone's board. So I'm looking for Brock Bowers, guys like Darnell, maybe get Eric Gilbert in there a little bit, get a little action. So curious to see how we attack the South Carolina defense.
Do you have the spread in front of you?
Oh, yeah. 24 and a half.
Is there any money you're going to be putting on this game while we're on Georgia?
I'm already on it.
24 and a half. You're on Georgia 24 and a half?
Yep.
I like it. What about the over-under? 55 and a half. You like anything there?
I didn't touch it. I didn't. I'll lean the under here.
I would probably lean the under. I don't know if I'm going to go to full 24 and a half on the spread. I think I might wait to see a first half line to see if maybe we can get it around like anything under 14 first half. And I will probably hammer that. I probably will take the 24 and a half. It's not a bad bet. It's obviously I think Georgia will beat them by 35. But if I can get like a 13 and a half first half spread, I am going to take that all day long.
Like South Carolina under 15 and a half total points.
I also like that. That is a beautiful bet that I didn't even see. But I'm happy you just put that in my mind because that sounds like it is going to be absolutely crispy.
Well, does that wrap it up for Dog Talk for you?
I am all clear on Dog Talk, Kenny. Let's go ahead and get into the next one.
All right, go Dogs. Let's move in to the college football week 3. Talk about some spreads we like, some games we like, matchups we're excited about. Let's kick it off Friday night. First matchup of the week, 7 p.m. kickoff, Florida State at Louisville. Florida State, 2.5-point favorite here, minus 142 on the money line, over-under set at 56.5 on this one.
Yeah, this is one that I'm very interested in. I do like this Florida State team, but Louisville is my arch nemesis right now because I went with them week 1 against Syracuse, and I thought that they had a chance to blow Syracuse out the water. They lost that football game, and then week 2 they played UCF. I think UCF was like 6-point favorites. I was rolling with UCF, and then they beat the hell out of UCF. So I will probably stay away from this game for that sole purpose. But Jordan Travis at Florida State's he's a dog, and I think he could do work. Malik Cunningham on the other side of the field is also a dog. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. This is probably just one I'm going to have my eyes on and kind of stay away from. If I was to lean any bet in this game, I think I like the over 56.
Yeah, I like that. This is another game I'm going to kick my feet up and just kind of enjoy this one because the other Friday game, which I'll go ahead and mention, is Air Force traveling to Wyoming. Air Force, 14.5-point favorites in this one. This is a game I'm not even going to think about touching.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not going to watch that football game. I'm going to be watching the Florida State Louisville game.
Absolutely. All right, let's move into Saturday, 12 p.m. kickoff. We talked about Georgia, South Carolina, so we'll kind of bypass that one. Purdue traveling to Syracuse. Syracuse, 1.5-point favorite here. I lean Syracuse in this game. Syracuse has been kind of impressive so far. You can get them at minus 118 on the money line. I'm thinking about taking that minus 118 and just kind of saying forget the points. Over-under set at 59.5 on this one. I lean the under, but I'm looking at that money line minus 118.
Yeah, this is going to be another fun one. You got 2 quarterbacks out there that can absolutely sling the ball around the yard. Syracuse runs the ball a good bit. They have decent success on the ground. I like both of these teams. I would probably also lean towards the Syracuse money line. I don't know if I'd want to get them at 1.5. I'd rather just lose a little bit of juice and just roll with the money line bet. I do like that play, though. This is going to be another game. I think it's going to be a very fun game to watch for fans.
I agree. Let's move on to some more 12 o'clock games. Right here, we've got number 6 Oklahoma traveling to Nebraska to take on the newly divorced Scott Frost Cornhuskers. Oklahoma, 10.5-point favorites on this game. Over-under set at 66.5. I jumped on this 10.5 as soon as I saw it.
Yeah, Nebraska's a team that just lost to Georgia Southern. You can say what you want to about Oklahoma. I know they struggled a little bit early on against Kent State last weekend. Oklahoma is going to beat the hell out of this coachless Nebraska team. Me and Kitty both like Casey Thompson. We think Casey Thompson is a good football player, but Nebraska all the way around. They have good talent. They have decent talent. There's something about them, and they cannot manage to win football games. Oklahoma is still one of the upper echelon teams in college football. We talk about a quarterback with Dylan Gabriel, who went to Oklahoma, and he's putting some good work there. I'm also on Oklahoma. I think my number's at minus 11, minus 10.5, minus 11, minus 15. I don't care. I'll take Oklahoma.
Yeah, agreed there. I'm just kind of running through featured games here, Jake. So if you see any that are not necessarily featured games, then go ahead and hop in and mention those.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I got you. I will
All
also
right.
jump in there with you.
All right, moving into the next feature game. This is a 2:30 kickoff. You got Cal traveling to Notre Dame to take on the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame 10.5-point favorites here. When I saw the matchup between Cal and Notre Dame, my immediate thought was take the under. Obviously, Notre Dame's quarterback goes out last week, and he's a pretty good football player. So, but that was my first thought. And then I saw the over/under set at 40.5 in this game. So I am staying away from this game as a whole.
There is only one team that we watch play that if their over/under was sitting at 40.5, no matter who their opponent is, you can take, and it's Iowa. Yeah. I will probably stay completely away from this game. If I did put a bet on this game, I think I would roll with Cal plus 11.5. I think that would probably be my play in this one.
Yeah, I like that. Moving to a 3:30 kickoff game, we got an interesting one here. Big matchup. Number 12 BYU traveling to Oregon to take on the Ducks. Oregon comes in a 3.5-point favorite. Get them minus 170 on the money line. Over under in this game is set at 57.5. I do not have a pick in this game for one reason. I'm pulling for Oregon in this game. Obviously, Georgia comes in there and routs Oregon. Anytime Oregon can beat a ranked team, it makes us just look a little bit better. It kind of breaks the narrative that this Oregon team might not be that good. So I'd love to see Oregon pick up a win here, but I'm not comfortable enough in it to take a money line or take a minus 3.5. There's just not enough juice there for me to lay either one of those. So I'm going to kick my feet up and enjoy this game and kind of see how Oregon decides to play this and see what kind of team they actually are.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have money on this game. I think I'm going to roll with BYU plus 3.5. BYU has not given me a reason so far this season to not think that they are a good football team. Obviously, they went out last week and beat Baylor, who we both think is a good football team. It's a team that was ranked in the top 10. So I'm going to roll with BYU plus 3.5. I was kind of interested in the money line, but I do like having the opportunity of a field goal loss and still winning my money. So I'm going to go with 3.5.
I like that. Heading to the next 3:30 feature game, we've got Ole Miss traveling to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech. This game right here is sitting at a 16.5-point line. You get Ole Miss as the 16.5-point favorite here. Over under set at 62.5. I was actually lucky enough to hop on this as soon as I saw it. I got Ole Miss at minus 14.5.
Yeah, that is a lot. This is another one of those games to me that if you can get Ole Miss minus 20, you take it. Ole Miss is going to beat the brakes off Georgia Tech. I am also on Ole Miss. My number, I have them, it's at 16.5. Yeah. So I'm kind of a late game better, everybody. Just so y'all know, I kind of waited out for some odd, stupid reason.
I do if it fits what I'm looking for, but I kind of saw that 14.5 and I was like, there's no way it gets any lower than that. Yeah, I couldn't even think about it, man.
And honestly, right now, the juice at 16.5 is with Georgia Tech, so this line could move even farther.
Exactly.
So just keep an eye on this one. I do think that 16.5 is a good number to get them at. 17 is one of those thresholds that you pass. And, anytime you can get to like a 14, a 17, 21, like all those numbers are kind of thresholds that you pass. So I do think 16.5 is still a favorable number to take Ole Miss.
I agree. Yeah, I would take Ole Miss. Anywhere under like 21.
Yeah, I agree.
Next feature game, 3:30 kickoff. We got 22 ranked Penn State traveling to Jordan-Hare to take on the Auburn Tigers. Penn State 3.5-point favorite here, minus 154 on the money line. The over/under for this game is set at 47.5. I immediately jumped on Penn State. I got them at minus 3. It since moved to 3.5. Obviously, the juice is with Auburn, so this line's probably going to move back and forth all week. But I'm on Penn State at minus 3.
Yeah, I'm also on Penn State minus 3. I don't think that this line should be as close as what it is. We've seen decent Penn State Auburn matchups in the past. I think that's the main reason this line is kind of sitting in this area.
And that moves in to another feature game. I'm looking right here. This is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. We got number 11 Michigan State traveling to Washington to take on the Huskies. Michigan State 3.5-point dog here. Washington's impressed, man. They've looked like a really good team up to this point, but I'm just not feeling the flow, and I'm taking Michigan State plus 3.5. I went against Michigan State earlier this season, and it came back to bite me. So I'm gonna flip my narrative, hop on Michigan State plus the 3.5. I like that a lot here.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Michigan State, just because they lost Kenny Walker to the NFL draft, they're still a good football team, or at least a decent football team. Washington has not shown me enough to credit me taking them by 3.5. 3.5 is actually a really really good number to get in football betting. So I will also be on Michigan State plus 3.5.
All right, moving to the next feature game. We got Miami at 24 ranked Texas A&M. A&M's 5.5-point favorite here, minus 215 on the money line. This is a game I'm not going to touch the spread at all. This A&M team, you just don't know which team's going to show up. The defense is obviously elite. Miami's defense, not so much. Miami's quarterback, stud. A&M's quarterback, not looking too good so far this season. Also, Texas A&M's offensive line has been putrid, absolutely horrible. So I just don't have any faith in this A&M team. So 5.5, that's a little bit too rich for my blood. So I immediately thought, take the under in this game. If I saw like mid 50s to high 50s, I would think about it. 44.5 is what this is sitting at right now. No, thank you.
Yeah, I do not like any line in this game. And if I was to put a bet here, sorry, SEC fans, I would roll Miami plus 5. Also, the money line at plus 175 is rather juicy because I do think that these two teams are a lot closer than a 5-point spread. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miami comes in to beat Texas A&M. Obviously, they just got beat last weekend by App State. Miami's a better football team than App State. So this is going to be a fun one. This might be for me though one of those ones like we had mentioned where you kick your feet up and just enjoy some football because I don't know if I want to have my my precious moolah on the line with these two teams.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Let's not forget that Miami struggled with Southern Miss in the first half last weekend. So I'm not super confident in them either. So this is kind of a toss up for me.
Well, these are just two teams where you don't know who's going to show up. And that's what makes it so hard to judge. Is Texas A&M could show up and look like the Texas A&M we expected them to, or they could show up and look like the App State game last week. And Miami could show up and Van Dyke could come out there and sling for 400 yards and 4 tutties, or he could come out there and struggle a little bit. It's just you don't know. This Texas A&M defense is very very good, but I just don't know what kind of points we're looking at in this game.
Yeah, these are two teams to me that are very similar in the past couple of years, where they've really kind of brought themselves to relevance in the past few years. And I'm not saying Texas A&M has not disappointed. Obviously, they beat Alabama last year. They were a top 10 team in football last year, but they still have not passed that level of what we're thinking of them. Miami was a team last year. Whenever Tyler Van Dyke came in, everybody thought Miami was on that next tier, and then they lost to Florida State. So both of these teams have suffered some consequences in the past 2 years. So this is just going to be a fun football game. And, A&M, Florida, Miami matchup at A&M, that's going to be electric. Like it's going to be a lot of fun football to watch, I think. And then you always got to keep your eye out, Max Johnson. Max Johnson, if he can come in and do what he did last year, he can completely turn this team around. Like they might come out and put up 40. So you really never know. This is going to be a very interesting game.
It's definitely going to be an electric atmosphere down there in Kyle Field, man.
I agree.
Moving into the next feature game, we got a 4 p.m. kickoff. Kansas traveling to Houston. Houston 9.5-point favorite in this game. Over under set at 57.5. I lean the over in this game. I'm not touching that 9.5-point spread there. Kansas has looked pretty impressive to me to an extent, and Houston's another team where you don't really know what you're going to get out of them. This is a team that started off the year ranked, struggled a little bit. They've fallen back out of the AP top 25 poll right now. So I do like Houston, but I don't know if 9.5 is anywhere I'm willing to touch.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Houston lost to UTSA last weekend, right? I have to do a little research on that one. I'm so. I want to say they lost by 3 in overtime. Sorry, guys. We are live
in overtime.
What is it?
They won in overtime.
They won in overtime. Okay. So what was the score to that game? I don't know if you already have it pulled up.
That was actually week 1, Jake.
That was week
Houston,
1. My fault.
Yeah, last week Houston lost to Texas Tech by 3 in overtime.
Texas Tech. Okay,
that's what you're thinking of.
I got my teams mixed up. Yeah, I'm also leaning with you on the over in this game. That was kind of where I was trying to get my Houston knowledge back up to par. I bet in their games both times. I want to say that I bet against them both times. So, I had Texas Tech. I think I won money both times, which is a beautiful thing. I'd love to see that. So I might go against Houston again. We'll see.
All right, that brings us into the next game, which is an absolute banger if you've listened to the podcast. We got Mississippi State at LSU. The podcast rivalry, two teams Jake and I were a little bit high on. Mississippi State comes in as a 1.5-point favorite here, minus 120 on the money line. The over-under is set at, in my opinion, a very low 53.5. I am on LSU plus 1.5. I'm also on the over 53.5 in this game.
I am on Mississippi State minus 1.5 in the over this game because me and Kenny, we had mentioned, we're not high on these teams. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. We do not think these teams are playoff contenders. Whenever we did our SEC West rankings, I want to say I had Mississippi State at 5. Kenny had them at 6. I had LSU at 6. He had LSU at 5. So it ain't like we were very far off in this conversation. But it kind of sparked up a fun little thing of like, oh, yeah, you think Mississippi State's better? You think LSU's better? So this is rivalry week for me and Kenny. This is the Bulldogs against the Tigers, not the Bulldogs from Georgia. So don't get too worked up now, guys. So this is gonna be fun. Jaden Daniels, Will Rogers, two quarterbacks that are really, really fun to watch. And I had a lot of trash to talk about Jaden Daniels preseason going into the year. I was wrong. Jaden Daniels in 2 games so far has impressed me so much. I want to say last week he was like 21 for 19 with 3 tuds. I know they played Southern or something like that. But still, the guy has been putting in work. So this game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I'm going to have a little bit of money on it, obviously, for our betting purposes. But this is just going to be one I'm going to enjoy. This is a good old SEC matchup between two teams that are really, really close to each other's skill level. So it's going to make for a really, really good football game. You can never beat these matchups.
No, you can't. This is going to be a fun one. 6 p.m. kickoff on that one. That moves us into the next feature game. We got Texas Tech at NC State. NC State 10.5-point favorite here. The over/under set at 54.5. I am on Texas Tech plus the 10.5.
Yeah, one of the easiest bets of the week for me. I'm not going to say it's a lot, but it is too many points for that matchup. These two teams are too close together for a 10.5-point spread.
And I like NC State a lot. I really like Devin Leary. I like this offense. The defense is obviously very, very good. So I also that 54.5 concerns me. But both of these teams can put up some points. So I'm curious to see how Texas Tech matches up with that NC State defense. But NC State, man, they just haven't been able to put it together so far. They haven't looked like a complete team. I still have a little bit of faith in them. I think they can get it together and make a push for that SEC. But I don't know. They haven't proved anything yet. So Texas Tech, obviously not top team in college, but probably one of the tougher opponents for NC State this far.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I like your pick on that one. Also, 54 is a pretty interesting number. I feel like they couldn't have placed that any better. I would probably go the over just because this matchup's going to be a competitive matchup. They're going to be trying to put up points, but every drive you can get points. So I'd probably lean the over, but I don't know if that's going to be a number I'm going to touch.
All right, let's move into the next feature game. We got a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. SMU traveling to Maryland to take on the Terps. Maryland 2.5-point favorite here, minus 140 on the money line. The over/under is set at an absurd 73.5. If y'all have been listening to the podcast, you know that I am 2 for 2 so far on Maryland overs. 73.5 definitely concerns me, definitely scares me. Jake and I talked about this a little bit off air, but I'd be remiss if I didn't hop on it, man. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm staying on the train until it derails itself. 73.5 is an absurd amount of points to lay, but I'll take it. I'm going with the over, 73.5 in this game.
You have to. We have one rule on this podcast, and it's if you're on a hot streak with a bet, you keep on rolling with it until it does not work anymore, because that seems like it is a common trend in betting in general, is that if you can find a trend that works for you, it is going to keep on working until the odds makers figure out. Like, maybe this is the week that they figure out, okay, maybe we need to start bumping this up a little bit. And it looks like they did at 73.5. But hell, maybe they score 80. Yeah, I would not put it against them. I'm going to roll with Maryland, minus 2.5. Baby Tua is a freak. If he was playing at a bigger school than Maryland, he would be getting a lot more recognition right now than what he is. This guy can throw the ball all the way around the yard. He can make every throw on a college football field. He is a beast. So I'm going to go with Maryland.
Yeah, Little Tua can definitely sling the pill. And that brings me into my final feature game of the night. This is the nightcap, 10:30 p.m. kickoff. We got Fresno State traveling to USC to take on the Trojans. USC, 12.5-point favorites in this one. The over-under set at 73.5. I am on USC minus the 12.5.
This is another one of those bets that we talk about where you ride stuff until it doesn't work anymore. USC is one of those teams right now, everybody. This line, Fresno State is a good football team, don't get me wrong. But how USC has played football so far this year, it shouldn't be right here. It should not be at 12. This should be closer to 20 to me than 12. So ride with USC, everybody. It's going to happen. And the over-under is set higher than the game we just talked about, 74. So I'm not going to touch that one, but I will roll with USC minus 12.
That wraps it up for me for college ball. You got anything else?
Yeah, I do have a bet. 1 second. Let me scroll through here. Iowa, Nevada. Everybody, take Nevada plus 23. Iowa's not going to
see that one.
Iowa can't score points. It doesn't matter what defense is going against them. They can't score points. 23-point favorites. They might beat them 10-0. I will say that, but they're not going to beat them by 23 points. I want to guarantee that. Also, the over/under is 39. Bet the under because Iowa does play good defense. I will give them that, but they also don't score points on offense. So we talk about a line at 20 at like I mentioned earlier. The only team you take at an over/under of 40 under is Iowa, and this is the prime example. Just take the under. It's going to hit.
Yeah, I'm looking at a spicy little parlay right there.
Talking about an under 39, Nevada plus 23.
Yes, I like that a lot. Sign me up.
This is gonna be a 7-3 football game.
It might be. It legitimately might be.
There's another game I looked at too. This is kind of one that intrigues me. South Florida going to Gainesville to play the Gators is an interesting one to me. I'm not saying I think Florida's going to lose this football game, but 24.5 points is a lot of points coming off the weekend Florida just had against Kentucky. It makes me a little bit nervous that, if South Florida comes out there and they have a good game plan against Anthony Richardson, is he going to be able to throw the ball against them? Is that going to be a thing that happens? If they can manage to stop him from running all over the field like Kentucky did, is he going to be able to make the throws and let them get beat by 24 points? South Florida's not a terrible football program. They're 1-1 this year, but their one loss came against BYU, and we already talked about BYU. BYU is a good football team. So this is another game. I don't know if I'm going to have my money on it, but keep your eye on that plus 24 for South Florida, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that.
But that wraps up my college football takes. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling back through real quick just to see if there's any that caught my eye. I think I had one more in here that I was. Oh yeah. App State and Troy. This is a very interesting game to me, and I think I might ride the App State train. After they beat Texas A&M last weekend, I know how many points they can put up. Troy's not a bad football team, but I want to say the number. Look, I clicked on it. I want to say the numbers. It's at 12.5 App State. The over/under is something I'm interested in, 52.5. I think I'm going to roll with the over 52.5 with App State on playing football. Texas A&M held them contained, but we saw what they did against North Carolina, and they don't really play defense. A&M couldn't score points on them, but it's App State. So Chase Bryce has been slinging the ball this year. Troy has a quarterback that can also sling the pill. Let's go with the over 52.5. App State Troy.
All right, I like it.
And I think that's it for me, just on some little random ones I was noting and paying attention to.
Well, you want to dive into some pro ball?
Yeah, we can do some pro ball. Give me 1 sec. Let me get some stuff pulled up right quick. I don't know how come I did not have this beforehand. I am so sorry, everybody. I should have done this, but I did not. Okay, week 3 of the NFL. Let's go ahead and start off with the cons. How about that? I have my Falcons shirt on. You see it has a number 2 on there. Falcons legend Matt Ryan. Falcons are heading to SoFi Stadium to play the reigning Super Bowl champions Los Angeles Rams. And I'm going to start this off by saying we are a Georgia-based podcast. We are Atlanta-based, but in the NFL, we like to look around the league a whole lot. And as fans of the NFL, I feel terrible saying this is an Atlanta podcast. In the grand scheme of things, this is a lot bigger game for the Rams than it is the Atlanta Falcons. This is a game where where we get to see a chance if the Rams are what they were last year. Because if they don't come out and show up against the Falcons, things are not looking good for the Los Angeles Rams. Talk about Matt Stafford. He played a pretty rough game last weekend. He's going to go against a lot more favorable matchup this weekend against the Falcons. Usually the pass rush, we had 4 sacks last weekend against the Saints. That's not what we're going to do every game. We don't have the guys on this team to put up numbers like that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The guys that we like, Ebiketie, Ogundeji, there's a lot of guys the Falcons have rushing the edges that aren't going to be able to put up those numbers consistently. Grady Jarrett's an absolute beast. We know that, but he can't get a damn 2 sacks every game. That's not going to happen. There is some key injury things for both teams. Damian Williams is questionable for the game right now. He got banged up a little bit last week. And on the Rams side of the ball, Leonard Floyd is questionable along with Van Jefferson. I know they're looking to get Van Jefferson back. He's going to be a big part of that offense when he does come back. He's kind of like their secret weapon with the Rams. He's kind of the guy that nobody really ever talks about, but he can play ball. He's a great wide receiver. And the Falcons, this is going to be a fun test for Drake London because he's going to go against Jalen Ramsey. And on the other side of things, let's see what Jalen Ramsey does because he had one of the worst defensive games in week 1 against Stephon Diggs among every defender in football. So he gets to have a week 2 matchup going against this Falcons depleted, pretty weak wide receiver group. I'm assuming that Drake London is going to be his guy. I also would not be surprised at all if we see him move towards the box and go up against Kyle Pitts. We've seen it in the past. Teams have moved corners to guard Kyle Pitts, and it works out pretty well for them. So that's going to be something I also will keep my eye on. Cordell Patterson, he was a workhorse in week 1. I'm curious to see if he can maintain that in week 2. And we talked about the pass protection week 1. Pass protection looked good for the Falcons against the Saints. Do they have a tough matchup right here against the Rams? It is going to be tough to maintain it, especially at the guard position where we're already kind of weak. Obviously, we talk about Lindstrom. Lindstrom is an absolute beast. But, Dahlman at center and Elijah Wilkerson at the, I want to say right guard spot or left guard spot. That's going to be a lot of fun for Aaron Donald to be rushing against those two guys and get to see what they can do against Donald.
Yeah, I thought a really interesting point you just brought up was the Jalen Ramsey talk. Jalen Ramsey, man, he's such a big and physical corner that I think definitely bringing him in to face Kyle Pitts a little bit is something that I'd be really intrigued to see how that plays out, man. Kyle Pitts is so big, so athletic. He's so long. He's got the ridiculous wingspan. And Jalen Ramsey is by no means any different. This dude is an absolute stud. Genetically, he's a freak. Athletically, he's a freak. And, obviously he's probably the best corner in the league. Even coming off a stinker in last week's game against Stephon Diggs. That's a really interesting matchup that I hope we get to see a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing last year I noticed the Panthers did is the Panthers were kind of the first team that tried that. I want to say they brought Stephon Gilmore in to cover Kyle Pitts one-on-one for a good bit of the game. And it actually worked really, really well in the Panthers' favor because Kyle Pitts is a unicorn. That's what his nickname is across the league. He's a freak of nature. But whenever you're used to lining up against, linebackers and safeties who aren't so used to running that man coverage like a corner is, it's a little bit of a different matchup that you might not be used to at the NFL level. Pitts is still a young player. He's in year 2 right now. It doesn't really seem like it because of how much success he's had at the NFL level so far. But a matchup against Jalen Ramsey is going to be, like you mentioned, very, very fun to watch as a football fan. A Kyle Pitts, Jalen Ramsey matchup is going to be wild. And I'm assuming that the Falcons are going to be doing everything we can with Kyle Pitts because he was kind of quiet week 1. So we're going to do whatever we can to get him rolling. So I would not be surprised to line him up out wide, line him up, in line with tackles, whatever we can do to get this guy, flowing and get him some more targets in the offense.
Yeah, 100%. And Drake London, dude, he looked good in week 1. So I'm really curious to see how his season unfolds because Marcus definitely loves him.
Yes, he does love Drake London. I think everybody, if you're a quarterback, he's kind of like a dream out there. He's a big kid. He's a big guy. He can go up and get the ball. He obviously has great hands. He's just an all-around weapon on this offense. And you are right. I'm really excited to see what this kid can do in the future.
All right. Does that wrap it up, Falcons talk?
Yeah, that's it for my cons right now.
All right, let's look at this week 2 NFL slate, man. We got an absolute banger tomorrow night or tonight if you're listening on the podcast side of things. Thursday night football matchup. Chargers are traveling to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs, 4.5-point favorite here. Over-under set at 53.5. I have 2 picks for this game, Jake. I am on the Chiefs minus the 4.5, and I'm on Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 15.5 receiving yards.
If you don't take the Chiefs, okay, this to me is a hard one because both these teams are great. If you don't take the Chiefs minus 4.5, then you might be crazy. you need to roll with that bet right now because the Chiefs are the hottest team in the NFL. I know the Chargers are a great team, but this is going to be a bloodbath, and I expect the Chiefs to come out on top by at least a touchdown. You are right that Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick is crazy. I'm surprised you can get that number that low because he is a guy that is known to go out there and get some catches and get some targets. The guy had 2 receiving touchdowns last week, so we know Patrick Mahomes likes to target him out of the backfield, and I kind of feel like that's kind of his role right now with this Kansas City offense. Obviously, we talk about Pacheco. He's kind of there. At least in week 1, he was their primary ball carrier, and Edwards-Helaire was doing most of the work out of the backfield as a pass catcher. So that is also a really good bet. I did see something, too, that I am kind of interested in. I'm sorry, Patty Mahomes. I might roll with Patrick Mahomes over half an interception at plus money. He's going to throw a couple of them. It's going to happen. And this Chargers defense is not bad. And this is going to be a game where that ball is flying through the air on both sides. I think that this might be a decent little play that I might sprinkle a little bit of cash in on.
A little injury checkup right here. Let's check on the status of Mr. J.C. Jackson. He missed week 1. Is he going to be active this game?
I don't quite know. J.C. Jackson is questionable right now in that game. Keenan Allen, we mentioned he's out. Also, Harrison Butker's out. I want to say they called up Amendola. Matt Amendola is their new kicker. I'm a fan of the NFL. I'm sorry, I don't know the practice squad kicker for the Chiefs.
So the Chiefs actually signed somebody because they don't carry a second kicker. Obviously, you saw Justin Reed coming in there kicking extra points. They bring. Oh God, hold on.
It's Amendola. Something.
Is it? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. I think it's Matt Amendola. I could be completely wrong on that. Matt Amendola from they're signing. Yeah, they signed kicker Matt Amendola as Harrison Butker recovers from ankle injury. So yeah, Matt Amendola. I was right. What? Let's go.
Let's go. And yeah, you just mentioned it. Keenan Allen out in this one goes into my 4.5 pick. That goes into my reasoning a little bit. And J.C. Jackson, yeah, all I can find is that he's still questionable. So typically when you're questionable, the night before a Thursday night game, it's going to be a game time decision. So you're unfortunately not going to be able to work that into any decision making for the bets unless something is released, like a little bit prior to kickoff. But yeah, regardless, I like Chiefs minus 4.5 here. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 15.5 receiving yards. I'm also thinking about taking a little sprinkle, Pat Mahomes over 17.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I like that. One player prop I'm looking at is. There's not much juice here, but I do like the play is Mike Williams over 4.5 receptions. We talked about Keenan Allen being out. Mike Williams was kept pretty quiet week 1. This is not going to be a guy that's going to be held down for long. He is an absolute beast when he's rolling, and I expect him to be rolling, as soon as tomorrow or today on the podcast side.
All right. I think that is going to bring us into the next game on the slate. Guys, if you're following along, I am using FanDuel Sportsbook to get on my odds. That moves us into Sunday 1 o'clock matchups. We got the Washington Commanders traveling to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. This is a no-brainer for me. Detroit Lions are a 1.5 favorite in this game. Over/under set at 48.5. I'm on Commanders money line plus 108.
I am. This is tough. This is very tough. It's going to be a fun game to watch because I feel like it's going to get us to that level where, we can kind of get a better understanding of both these teams. These teams, to me, and it's going to be weird to say this, but I feel like both these teams can put up some numbers on offense. This might be an offensive heavy game between the Lions and Commanders, which is something I feel like I wouldn't have expected last year. But this Lions team, we saw them last week. They put up 35 points against the Eagles, and the Commanders team can also put up points. Carson Wentz went out and threw 4 tuds last weekend, so. This is going to be a game I'm going to keep my eye on. I would probably like to maybe stay away from this game. But, for the fun of things, I'm going to say I would roll with... I would probably roll with Detroit money line and just take my hit on the little bit of juice I lose.
All right. I respect it. Let's move into the next matchup. We got the Jets traveling to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns. Browns are 6.5 point favorites in this one. Over/under set at 40.5. I like the under here. Under 40.5 for this game.
I do as well. This is a game where the Browns get up early and they get a couple score lead on the Jets, which I expect they will. They are going to be one of the best teams in the league this year in milking clock because of the two workhorses they have at the running back spot with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And this Jets team, they are a long way from competing. Zach Wilson I'm pretty sure he won't be playing in week 2. His timetable's still kind of up in the air on when he's going to be coming back. So I'm with you. I'm going to roll with, would you say the under a 40.5?
Yeah.
I would probably also roll with the Browns 6.5 too. I think that's a play I like.
I like that. Next game on the 1 o'clock in the 1 o'clock hour is one of my favorite bets of the weekend. This is Tampa traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Tampa is 2.5-point favorite in this game, minus 142 on the money line. I am on the over 44.5 in this game. And the sole reason I'm on the over is because Tom Brady came out there, played a good game week 1 against the Cowboys. Cowboys have a good pass rush, good defense. But this Buccaneers team, man, can attack you so many different ways through the air. And obviously you got playoff Lenny back there. Leonard Fournette, 124 rushing yards, also caught the ball a little bit. Looked like he was rejuvenated, like he found the fountain of youth, I think Jake said last night. And the reason I'm on the over here is because Tom Brady came out there, and I just mentioned it, he played a good game, but it was a little bit quiet from a points perspective. A 19-3 win over the Cowboys. I can't remember the last time we've seen Tom Brady have a quiet game twice in a row.
Yeah, that is a great point.
So I'm going to roll with the 23-24-year NFL veteran in Tom Brady and say that he is going to contribute to the over 44.5 in this game. Big coming out party for this Buccaneers team. They're going to go out there, score some points. I think they'll get the win versus the Saints. I know Tom struggled in New Orleans since being in the NFC South. But everything aside, I'm on the over 44.5 in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to touch the spread in this game. 2.5 points. It's not a big margin. And, I do think that the Buccaneers are, better than the Saints by 2.5 points. But we've talked about the struggles that the Buccaneers have had with the Saints the past couple of years. I think it's like 1-5 against the Saints in the past 3 seasons. They've had a hard time with the Saints for some reason. And you're playing in Mercedes-Benz, which is one of the toughest stadiums to go into and play. It's their home opener. They're going to be going crazy getting to see Tom Brady come back there. So that's going to be a crazy game. I'm also with you on the over. Tom Brady's going to go crazy. And, second half against the Falcons, Jameis comes out and starts slinging the ball like he was. He can do some damage as well. So both these quarterbacks are going to be playing great games. They're going to be putting up big numbers. And I'm really pumped up to see. I'm curious to see Carlton Davis against Michael Thomas. I'm hoping that's a matchup that we get to see a good bit in this game. It's going to be a really, really fun matchup because Michael Thomas, he started to come alive second half of the Falcons game, like I had mentioned. And Carlton Davis is, an absolute beast. So really, really ready to see that.
All right, bring us into the next 1 o'clock game. We got the Carolina Panthers, Baker Mayfield-led Panthers, traveling to New York to take on the New York Football Giants. The Giants are a 1.5 favorite here, minus 126 on the money line. The over-under set at 43.5. No-brainer for me. Panthers money line.
Yeah, Panthers money line. Get your plus odds. Panthers money line. Panthers are a better football team than the Giants.
All right, next one we got the New England Patriots traveling to Acrisure to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Patriots 2.5-point favorite in this game, minus 126 on the money line. Over/under set at 40.5. I'm on the Steelers plus 2.5.
I am also on the Steelers plus 2.5. I would consider putting a flyer on the under 40.5. I think this might be a pretty low scoring affair between these two teams. I don't think either of these teams have a very dynamic offense. I think most of that stems around quarterback play. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky or Mac Jones are two quarterbacks that are going to go out there, and just put up 3 tuds and 300 yards. It's not really neither their type of game. So I expect the Steelers to win by 2.5. We talk about TJ Watt being out for a little bit, but that Steelers defense is still loaded.
All right, brings us into the next. We got the Indianapolis Colts traveling down to Duval to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Colts are 4.5-point favorites in this game. Over/under set at 44.5. I don't like this game at all.
Yeah, I'm going to stick away from it. I did not like what I saw from the Colts. Week 1, I do think they're a better team than the Jaguars. So I am going to also not put a wager on this game. I also don't like the over-under either. So I'll stick away with it.
All right, and this brings us to the last 1 o'clock game of the day. Miami Dolphins traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens are 3.5-point favorites here, minus 190 on the money line. The over/under is set at 44.5. I am on the Dolphins plus 3.5 in this game.
I'm sorry, I lost. Yep, this is tough. I'm gonna roll with the Ravens. Minus 3.5. Part of that is because they're playing in Baltimore. I think that's a pretty different environment for the Dolphins to go play in, and this might turn out to be a pretty high scoring affair. We saw Lamar last week. He was playing a really really good game. Obviously, it was against the New York Jets, so take it with a grain of salt. But now I'm looking at, I don't think this is going to be a game I'm going to have money on, because these two teams are two teams that I am still trying to figure out. Obviously, they're both playoff contenders, but I want to see, this is going to be a game that we can kind of dictate, what level both these teams are at right now. Because one of them played a pretty bad offensive, Patriots team, and the other one played the Jets. So, going into week 2, this is going to be a fun matchup.
All right. This brings us into the 4 o'clock hour. 4:25 kickoffs. We have another no-brainer for me. Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Jerry's World to take on the Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys. Bengals are minus 7.5. Minus 335 on the money line. The over/under set at 42.5. I'm on the Bengals minus 7.5 here.
There's a couple things in life that you don't want to go against, and one of that is a Joe Burrow bounce back game. Joe Burrow's going to go crazy against this team. I know we had mentioned my one fear that I do have in this game, and I'm also, before I get into this, I'm also on the Bengals minus 7.5, so it's not too big of a fear, I guess, is that Cowboys pass rush. If that Bengals offensive line plays how they played last weekend against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we need to start worrying about Joe Burrow's health. Because I want to say he got, sacked 7 times last weekend?
I think you're right.
Micah Parsons might come out here and sack you 5 times, bro. So, quick plays, get the ball out quick, make them switch up their defense a little bit, and then try to take your shots, because that pass rush can get to you if you let them.
And you look at the way the Bucs were able to run the football against this team. I look for Joe Mixon to have a big game as well.
Yeah, Joe Mixon's a guy that does not get talked about nearly enough, in my opinion. So I can also roll with that. I like that.
All right, next game, we got the Houston Texans traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. This is an interesting one. Broncos are 9.5-point favorites in this game. I think that's just way too many points. I'll be on the Texans plus the 9.5 here. The over/under set at 45.5. I know it's in Denver. I know you got a Russ bounce back game after the crippling loss to Seattle and the questionable 4th down decision to kick a tying NFL record long field goal. But I think 9.5 points, that's just too many, man. I don't see it in this game. I think the Broncos are a better team than the Texans, obviously. But Texans plus 9.5, I'll take that all day.
Yeah, 9.5 points in an NFL game is a lot of points. We talk about college games, 9.5 does not seem like much. You get to the big boy league, it is close. And like you mentioned, that's way too many points against the Texans. Dougie Mills is going to get his points. Dougie Mills is going to put some points up on you. I don't think that the Broncos are going to be able to just play this team out of the water. I will also be on the Texans plus 9.5.
All right. Potential bounce back game here for both teams. This is going to be a good one. I'm going to be watching this game, tuning in this one for sure, kicking my feet up and enjoying it, as I will not have money on this game whatsoever. Arizona Cardinals traveling to Vegas to take on the Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are 5.5-point favorites in this one, minus 240 on the money line. The over/under set at 51.5.
Everything inside of me is wanting to go with the Cardinals plus 5.5, but I cannot bring myself to do it. Also, that over/under is high for an NFL game. 51.5 in an NFL game is a really, really high number, but I'm not going to touch the under, because if we're talking about two teams that could possibly do it, these are two teams that could easily surpass that number. So I am with you, Kenny. I am going to also stick away from this game. These numbers are not where I would like to see them. Like I said, I do feel like 5.5 to the Cardinals is a good bit of points, but after seeing how they played last week, I don't want to put that on them just yet.
It's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to be a very entertaining game.
All right, that brings us into the Sunday night matchup. Chicago Bears at Green Bay Packers. Packers are 9.5-point favorites. That is a ton of points. Ton of points coming off an absolute stinker for the Packers last week. Minus 450 on the money line. The over/under set at 42.5. I'm not touching this one.
Give me Bears plus 9.5.
All right.
I'm going with the Bears plus 9.5. I think that Justin Fields, in a little bit calmer weather, this is going to be his season, man. Justin Fields might be the guy that we see have a breakout year. And I was impressed with what he did in week 1 in that rainy weather. I think he's going to do work again this year. That Bears defense is not terrible. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers has no weapons on offense besides his running back room. So let's roll with Bears plus 9.5, and let's just see what happens. Also, I would like to sniff. I would like to sniff the under a little bit too. I might put a little sniff in the under.
I lean the under. The only thing I worry about in this game is an Aaron Rodgers bounce back.
That is true. Rodgers is a guy that, he gets frustrated. He might come out and throw for 400 yards. Christian Watkins. Christian Watkins is their guy?
Watson.
Christian Watson might come out and have 200 yards receiving because Aaron Rodgers is going to lock that man in a mental asylum for the whole week for what he did to him.
I can't find any player props in this game, but I look for Big Bob to take the over in the receiving yards in this one. He might go for 150.
Big Bob might have 20 targets in this game.
He might.
Big Bob's going to have 20 in the running backs room. He's going to have 20. Rodgers is that guy.
Absolute banger of a Monday night slate. We get a Monday Night Football doubleheader. We got the Tennessee Titans traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Where'd it go? I just lost it. The Bills are 9.5-point favorites in this game, minus 460 on the money line. The over-under set at 48.5, followed by 8:30 p.m. kickoff. Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philly to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are a 1.5-point favorite, minus 132 on the money line. Over-under set at 51.5. Let's talk about this Bills-Titans matchup. 9.5 points again. Obviously, 9.5 is a lot. And it concerns me because this Titans team looked bad. They looked really, really bad. So I want so bad to take that 9.5 points for the Bills, but I don't think I'm going to do it.
I'm not going to touch that game. I will be completely honest. I am leaning the same. I have the same feeling as you do, the 9.5 for the Bills, but we saw one average week from Derrick Henry. That does not guarantee 2 average weeks from Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry can come out here and rush for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns and keep this game competitive. So I'm not going to jump off that Titans bandwagon just yet. Like you said, 9.5 is a lot of points too, and the juice is actually with the Titans plus 9.5 right now. So this game is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to stay away from it.
You may end up taking a little peek at that under 48.5.
Yeah. Still makes me.
This Bills defense is real.
It is real, and this could be one of those games that I could possibly see being like 31-10 game. And at that point the under does hit, but then again it could get to like a 31-21 game, and then it doesn't hit. So there's kind of some margins that you'd have to play at that point. I do think that this Buffalo team is going to put up points on this Tennessee defense. So Tennessee does have a good defense, but Saquon put up 150 on him last week. So I keep an eye out for that because Derrick Henry is coming. Wait, I'm so stupid. I'm talking about a team going against their own damn running back. Hold up, my mind was not working. I'm sorry. Scratch everything I just said.
CTE.
Yeah, CTE. I had too many hard hits. Too many Jack Sparrows on that cruise we took a couple weekends back.
That's what it is. Well, let's talk about the nightcap, man. 8:30 p.m. kickoff. I do have money on this game. I will be taking the Vikings money line plus 112.
And I will be pounding the over of 51.5. A lot of points in an NFL game. But this Eagles defense that we talked on, they are a good defense, but they did allow 31 points to the Texans. Wait, not Texans. Texans played somebody else. Lions. Yeah, I'm thinking about bad football teams. They allowed 31 points to the Lions. And this Vikings offense can put up points on you quick. They're not going to have a person on the field that can cover Justin Jefferson. And the same kind of goes away to the other side of the field. The Eagles offense was awesome week 1. Jalen Hurts looked like he could be an MVP candidate. I had mentioned that yesterday when we were talking about it. And if he keeps that up, this could be a very, very high-scoring game between these two teams.
All right, I think that wraps it up for the NFL slate. That wraps it up for college football talk, NFL
I do have
talk.
one more thing, Kenny, that I'm going to throw at you. And I meant to mention this as we were going. This is a parlay. Okay. A parlay I was kind of throwing together live that I really enjoy. And it's an underdog parlay. I tried one last weekend. Did not work out for me this weekend. I'm going to try to do the same. They're fun to do. And they seem like the odds line up pretty well for you. So I have a 3-team underdog parlay. Panthers money line at plus 108 against the Giants. Commanders money line plus 108 at Detroit, and Steelers money line plus 108 at the Patriots. If you parlay all three of those together, you get a plus 799 odds.
Juicy.
That is really, really juicy. Oh my God. Okay, I'm getting live Cam Akers news. I'm not going to read it right now. I just saw it pop up on my phone. I'm sorry. But yeah, that is a bet that I think that's my underdog parlay this weekend. That just seems too good of odds for me to pass up on. Might put a little 5 on it, just a little sprinkle on there. Not nothing too big, but just something to see if I can win a little bit of money, get some money in the betting account after what week 1 did to me.
I like it. I like it. Anything else? College football, NFL before we move on?
No, that wraps it up for me, Kenny.
All right, you want to talk about how we did last week?
Yeah, we can talk about it. I mean, I would prefer not to, but we can, I guess.
I actually did pretty well.
You did good? You did good last weekend?
Did very good. Thank you, Georgia Southern.
Yeah, thank you, Georgia Southern. You kept me in the green. Ooh, I have a lot of bets to cover. Where are we going to start? We're going to start at Thursday night NFL football.
Gosh, dude, I don't even have the individual games. I just have my record in front of me.
Oh, you just have your record in front of you?
Yeah, and my cash flow.
Okay, you can discuss yours for a second. Let me get these numbers together.
Right, I'll work on mine. So I actually, between college football and NFL, lumped it all in there together. Obviously, I mentioned Georgia Southern, put a rather large and risky wager on Georgia Southern, which netted me over $100 on the money line there against Nebraska. So thank you, Georgia Southern. We love you for that. I did pretty good in this week. After a just under 500 week in week 1, week 2 came in. I went 15-11 in week 2 and netted a total of $177.82 in my betting account after week 2 rounded out. And that's college football and NFL totaled all together.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still lying. I'm still counting mine right now.
You're good. You're good. And, there's a little caveat to that. I just mentioned the Georgia Southern. Obviously, if you take that Georgia Southern flyer out of the water, I'm looking at like $70 out of a four-win plus week for me. So, that's neither here nor there, depending on how you look at it. Obviously, we're not out here throwing $1 million around on these bets. We're just kind of slinging around, seeing what we can get, taking lines we're favoring, and that's kind of where I look. But yeah, Georgia Southern one for me. That's a game Jake and I both watched live. We hopped on that immediately. That Nebraska team, man, it's so bad. Scott Frost obviously gets fired. That's something that we talked about literally live while we're watching the game. It's like, if Georgia Southern wins this game, no way Scott Frost keeps his job. And surely he does not. So thank you, Southern. You saved my betting account. You made it look a whole lot better. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, Southern was clutch. I had a very interesting week betting. So Thursday night, cashed out. Thank you, Stephon Diggs, for getting 100 yards and a touchdown to help my parlay. That was my only bet I hit, but I ended up in the green. I think I went 1 for 4 on Thursday. And I just want to mention that this past weekend, I was somewhere in the range of like 20 and 24 in bets. A lot of bets. I was having a lot of fun. Friday, that was the classic Louisville UCF game. I had 2 parlays on John Reese Plumlee, thinking that he was the next god, and he came out the first couple drives and looked like it. But he did not hit any of my parlays. UCF failed for me, and that did not work for me. Saturday, Kenny mentioned it. Georgia Southern got the money line. That was one of my happiest bets. I want to say me and Kenny both had. We were jumping up and down his living room while his baby was asleep in the room right next to the living room, and we were jumping in silence, like soft landings. It was really professional moves, because just for the betting standpoint, that was a really, really big thing for us. That was the first time I've ever hit a plus 1,000 plus odds bet, and it was a great feeling. I think it turned like $5 into like $57. So it was pretty dope. And Sunday was a killer. The only thing that kept me alive on Sunday, that kept me in the green, was my Mike Evans first touchdown score bet, and that is one that I have been trying to hit for a long time, and I finally did. So I was really, really happy to see that. Let's go to Monday. Monday, I lost $4.80. And let's just say for this week so far, we're only at Wednesday. I've lost $83 this week in sports betting. I have bumped my bets up to a more significant number than betting $5 on stuff. I've been betting $40 on stuff, and I have not been hitting baseball. I had mentioned my strikeout one earlier. I mentioned my Brewers one earlier. That's $80 right there that I lost between those two bets. So
It's gambling, baby.
Yeah, it sounds worse than what it really is, though. Braves hit for me the other day. Jerry Jeudy over 60.5 receiving yards hit in one play. That was a beautiful thing that kept me kind of alive on Monday. If that wouldn't have hit, I would have been in a very bad situation. Obviously, the Broncos didn't hit for me. That -6 seemed really, really juicy going into the game, but Geno Smith covers. That's what he does, and he continued to do it on Monday. So betting wasn't that great. We're going to have to make a little deposit to the account. That's all I'm going to say, and we're going to get things back rolling this weekend. We bet to win money. That's what everybody bets to do. But, really, really close seconds to have fun. It helps the sports fans like me and Kenny are. It helps you get more involved in games that you would normally not care about. And it helps you kind of like understand teams more. Like, honestly, if I was not into sports betting, I would probably not give two craps about Syracuse or two craps about Purdue. Like, there's plenty of teams out there that I watch now just because I've had success betting for them, and it makes me want to bet on them again. So it kind of helps your fandom a little bit, which is always a beautiful thing being a sports fan.
It's just like fantasy football.
Just like fantasy football, you put money into it, but it kind of just, sports are our hobby. So it kind of just, helps fuel your hobby. And, if you were to go out on the weekend and go to Dave and Buster's or go to the bar, whatever you want to do on your weekends, you're going to spend more money than I'm going to spend putting in my betting account on the weekend, most likely. So, and that consists of me putting money in my betting account, and either sitting at my house watching football all day or going to Kenny's house and watching football all day. And however much money a 30-pack of Miller Lite costs, that's the only other negatives we're throwing in there.
Throwing a steak on the grill, drinking a couple cold beers, and watching the dogs win.
Can't ask for a better weekend, especially watching the dogs win, and then having some fun college games to root for other teams for betting purposes. It's always a beautiful thing.
Can't beat it. Woke up this morning, there was a little chill in the air. It is football season, man. It's here. Full go here in Georgia. Yeah,
down in Georgia, where we are, during the summer, you walk outside, you feel like you can hardly breathe because the air is so thick. You're over here and it's just not there. These past couple mornings, and even going near 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you go outside, you breathe, and it's just nice, cool air. And it's so it's such a relief, being from Georgia. And obviously, people up north always talk about how people down here don't know what cold is like because it starts getting below 60 in the mornings and you're throwing on a coat. Yeah. I know I do. I throw on a hoodie whenever it gets below 60. I like to drive to work in comfort. Got my hoodie on. I'll take it off before I go into work, but just for the the daily commute to work, I'll throw one on to be comfortable. And whenever it starts to get that point of the year, that's when I am happy.
That's when it's football season, baby.
That is definitely when it's football season. And then the endless pots of coffee in the mornings on Saturdays also let you know.
Bottomless coffee is always a win.
Yes, sir. Is that everything for this episode, Kenny? Did we actually keep it under 2 hours for this episode? Under an hour and a half, too.
We did. It was a very successful episode. We covered a lot, and we did it pretty timely.
Very, very timely. A lot better than what we've done in past episodes, I will say. AKA yesterday.
Well, as of right now, it is Wednesday night, 10:39 p.m. So, y'all boys get ready to fire on the TV tomorrow night or tonight if you're on the podcast side of things. Get ready to watch this Chiefs-Chargers game. And then we head into Friday. We got college football through the weekend and the NFL as well. So, man, it's an exciting time. I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. We covered a lot of stuff, talked about our bets, talked about what we're looking at, and I'm ready to dive into another weekend of some football. We always say it. We'll continue to say it. Thank you so much for your support. Any feedback you guys can provide just helps us make the show better. Obviously, check us out on all the socials. Check us out on YouTube if you're watching on the stream. Also, check us out on Twitter at Peach State Pod. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get it, and leave us a review. Leave us any kind of feedback you get. We're looking to do a little bit more interactive stuff, so any kind of interaction you guys can give us, any kind of feedback you can give us, makes us better, helps us bring more content to the show, and let us know what y'all want to hear.
Yeah, and I do have one more closing thought that I want to mention. I think next week's probably going to be a one-episode week, I would assume. Me and Kenny we are going on another vacation. For any new listeners out there, Me and Kenny are a family. We're going on a nice little family vacation. Kenny is my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister. So we have a whole little family trip we're about to go on next weekend. We're excited about that. We're going to be keeping up with all the college ball action on that Saturday and stuff. But I don't know if we'll be able to fit 2 podcasts in next week. So we aren't leaving till Thursday. I'm assuming Wednesday night we're not going to want to stay up, late and push a podcast. I don't know if that's something you would be down for. I just don't know, how that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I talked with Caitlin, see what time we're rolling out of here. But yeah, we'll for sure get a podcast out. Might do a little at the beach live action content while we're down there. Get y'all a little pics across because I know we're gonna be tuning into some ball that weekend.
We can definitely do a live off the phone. We should be able to do a group live off the phone. That would be pretty electric, especially on on YouTube. It might not be on the podcast side, but it will we could definitely throw together a nice little live on YouTube. That would be pretty dope.
Yeah, we'll be ripping some Jack Sparrows, hopping on the surfboard and shredding some gnar.
Yeah, we were really excited about that. Like you had said earlier, Kenny, I wanted to say thank you as well. I think Kenny had covered the socials and stuff already, so I'm going to leave that stuff a little bit bland right here. But just thank y'all for the support and always tuning in, listening to us. I know that sometimes we might get a little repetitive and we might get a little bit obnoxious. If Florida fans tune in, I guarantee that's probably what they think. But yeah, just appreciate you guys so much. We can't express the thank yous enough. It's been an awesome little road so far. We've obviously episode 15, we made it this far, and we can't wait to push out episodes in the future and keep on getting this stuff on as football rolls around, and like we mentioned earlier, the other sports start tuning in too. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, and we try to squeeze this stuff into give you guys all the info we can.
That's it, man. Thank y'all so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back at you again next week. Let's watch these Dogs open up the SEC this week. Go Dogs, baby.
Oh yeah, check y'all out next time.